You can sit around and talk about it in the classroom and look at a network diagram on some professor's slide, but it's not the same until you're actually there looking at how the network's connected and what the problems they're encountering are and how you're going to go about solving them.
Welcome to the Industrial Cybersecurity Insider. In each episode, we dive into the world of industrial cybersecurity. Join us as we cover the latest trends, innovations, and practical insights as we talk with leaders and practitioners across the industry. Gear up and let's get into this week's episode.
Hi, my name is Craig Duckworth, and today with us I have Jessica Cook, who is finishing her degree and is considering industrial cybersecurity. Jessica, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got here?
Yeah, I'm Jessica Cook. I'm a senior getting my degree in computer science engineering from Mississippi State University. I'm graduating in May. I have a couple summers of experience and some winters in OT cybersecurity on the plant floor and in the office. And yeah, I'm really excited to chat today.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad you're with us. I know that as we focus on industrial cybersecurity, industrial assets, plant floor, a couple things. The industry is mostly male dominated. Help us understand the audience, kind of how you got interested in that, or what's your thoughts on that?
So I guess it's kind of started in high school. Took a lot of math and science classes, did very well in them, really enjoyed them. I had taken a very basic intro to computers and programming class, like my junior year of high school. I did really well in it. One of my professors was like, well, have you ever thought about computer science? And I was like, no. That was not the goal at the time. And I went to an all-girls high school my junior and senior year. So that was never a conversation that was ever had. It wasn't a field that I was very exposed to. My dad worked in IT for a long time. And so I just kind of thought you sat behind a computer all day and sat in an office, and wasn't really something I wanted to do. But I started looking at engineering more seriously my senior year when I was considering where I wanted to go to school. And my older sister was a chemical engineer. I knew chemistry was not for me, wasn't very good at it, but I did enjoy physics a lot and I enjoyed math a lot. So computer science was just something my freshman year, I was like, okay, I guess I'll just write this on my applications and see where it goes. And when I ended up at Mississippi State, I got to talk to the head of the department there. And he was fantastic, talked about how much they were trying to improve the statistics for women in the field, specifically at Mississippi State, and how hands-on some of our classes were. And I ended up loving my first 2 semesters of the classes I was taking. And I started interning with Velta Technology and loved the work that I got to do there. And it just became something I really enjoyed doing and found I was quite good at too. So, yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. Hopefully the listeners know somebody that's considering the industry. I would say there's a stigmatism in manufacturing that goes back many, many years. I know that my parents, my grandparents, I would hear manufacturing, it's a dirty environment, it's a blue collar, it's manual labor, it's not clean. That's really changing, and the industry as a whole is changing it so that you do attract more talent, more opportunity into that space, and the jobs are becoming more technical in nature as industry is beginning to connect the plant floor to get metrics and KPIs from the manufacturing space. Are you seeing that? What's your level of excitement around trying to help bridge that gap and organizations get data to make smarter decisions?
Mm-hmm. I definitely think that, yeah, that's definitely the stereotype you hear about coming in. Blue collar jobs, steel toes and hard hats, maybe not the most appealing job, especially as a woman in the field. But from my personal experience, I mean, site to site, it varies. Sometimes you're on a construction facility and it's not the cleanest and not the prettiest, but they definitely have transitioned more into a technical field, especially in the classes that most of the engineering courses I've taken and the engineering courses that some of my friends have taken. They're very statistically based and more about the process and how to make the plant floor more efficient than the actual hands-on and like walking around on the plant floor. It's definitely become much more technical in nature. And I think that's something that does draw more of an appeal to college students today, and especially women.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned earlier Mississippi State. they were instrumental and they were a lot of hands-on, and you really liked the program when you met with your professor, your dean.
Mm-hmm.
We're still not seeing from an industry perspective in the higher education, in the trade schools, training or teaching a lot about industrial OT cybersecurity. Is that something that you're seeing Mississippi State lean more into, or do you feel that there could be extra classes or prep or material that would better prepare you for what you're doing, just in general?
Mm-hmm. So, Mississippi State, we offer a cybersecurity degree, but it's new
Oh,
within the last 2 to 3 years.
okay.
And last I checked, it wasn't ABET accredited yet because the degree has to be established for so many years. So, it's the only reason why I never switched my degree officially. But I have taken all of the courses except for one that they offer for core classes for cybersecurity at Mississippi State. I definitely think there's value in having a specifically industrial or operational technology cybersecurity course. Unfortunately, Mississippi State doesn't offer that, but they do have some really great high level network security and computer forensic classes that are really interesting. And it's nothing like you get in your normal core classes for computer science at Mississippi State. We have a lot of great labs that teach you the basics up to some of the higher level electives, but cybersecurity wise, those courses don't normally cover much of that. So those courses are great introductions into the cybersecurity field and kind of some of the concerns that you see in the real world today. We don't have a ton of lab experience in the classroom, but there's a lot of great research on campus. They just finished remodeling the building there, so they have a brand new cybersecurity lab. Unfortunately, I have not been in it yet, but I've heard a lot of great things about the program, and we're supposed to be starting some labs in my network security class after fall break. So haven't
Okay.
gotten to get onto those yet, but
So,
I would say there's definitely a lot of opportunity for that class in the future.
okay, good. So, if you were to look at the couple interns at Velta that you've had and
Mhm.
your experience in school, in classes, in your formal training and education, how has in the field, boots on the ground experience augmented or supported that? And how important do you feel it would be for higher education to, let's call it, maybe not mandate, but incorporate co ops or internships and that hands-on experience with the education to better round you and other candidates that are entering the field?
Mhm. For me, at least, it's the first moment you get to see like all the fruits of your labor. Like you put years and years and
Yeah.
years into your schooling and all this work and studying for exams and actually learning the material and the theoretical side of like computer science. And then the first time you get to like go walk out on a plant floor, whatever you choose to do with your computer science degree, you really like actually get to understand the real world application. I think co-ops and internships, most of the people that graduate today, like that's at least from College of Engineering, you get your full-time offers from wherever you co-opt or wherever you internshipped. It's that first like hands-on application, and you get to be part of a project that is actually meaningful to society and not just some busy work project that you're doing for class that doesn't actually affect anybody. So the internships really do get you that hands-on. This is how working in the business world works, and this is what my life is going to look like for the next few years. And it's really cool to see what the actual problems are going to be when you're in the field. You can sit around and talk about it in the classroom and look at a network diagram on some professor's slide, but it's not the same until you're actually there looking at how the network's connected and what the problems they're encountering are and how you're going to go about solving them.
Well, and I would say that part of the excitement for me in this field is every network is different. They're the same, but organizationally, they're different. It's how that organization decided to do it. The plants that you walk into on a daily basis are all different. They're not the same. You're not seeing the same things. You are conceptually, but it's not the same. It's, if you're in a paper plant or an oil field or oil refinery or a food and beverage plant that's putting soda in a can or a bottle or something like that. It's all different. The processes are different. It's that mechanical, physical process that's exciting versus just the ones and zeros going back and forth on a network.
Mm-hmm. And especially with computer science, like most of the time, the idea is that you're going to be sitting in an office for the rest of your life, sitting behind a computer screen and not really getting a lot of social interaction. But I mean, in this field, you're going out every other week to some kind of facility to have boots on ground and see what's really going on and how you can help.
If you look back at your last 4 years and maybe even your last year of high school, are there certain classes or studies that you found more influential and more beneficial in helping drive your decision to get involved? I know that you said your dad was in IT for his career, so you've been around it. Your older sister's a chemical engineer, so you've kind of got exposed to that side. But if you look at the formal process that you kind of went through during your evolution, were there certain classes or studies that really kind of help shape and decide this really makes sense for me? This is a passion I have that kind of got you on the road?
There was a class I took my sophomore year that was like a higher level elective, data communication networks, that I found really interesting. Networking was something that kind of took me a while to wrap my head around. Wasn't something that came super naturally to me until I took that class. And it really dove deep into kind of the OSI model. And we learned how to use Wireshark and build out a picture in your head of how networking works. So that was a big part of it, because you have to be able to understand the basics before you walk into a plant facility, just because they're all so different. Understanding that process is really important. So I would say that one was a big one. And then my first intro to cybersecurity course, I really enjoyed too. It was with this professor, Dr. Treywick. He's fantastic. He teaches a bunch of our cybersecurity courses on campus, and he worked for the government for a long time. He's a big lecture guy. He just kind of gets up and talks about real world issues and applications that he's worked with in the past, and kind of talks about his history. And a lot of his classes build off of themselves. It's not a super heavy coursework class, but it talks about a lot of great discussion topics, and it's very much like a roundtable kind of class. So that one was a big part of it too, just because there's so many issues that we don't see in like our basic programming classes that you do get to talk about in those classes.
Okay. A couple of things. I kind of want to go back a little bit to your internship and you're in the field. I know that at Velta, you had an opportunity to attend one of the trade shows. Talk about that as somebody outside looking into the industry to try and help shape what you do. What was your experience of the show in general, the vendors, what was being presented? Just talk a little bit about that, if you would.
Yeah. So the conference was the S4 conference. It was really cool. It's OT cybersecurity conference. They have it every year. The year I went, it was in Miami, so it was right on South Beach. First time I had been in the ocean too. It was a cool trip. Okay. It was awesome. It was very interesting. I was definitely probably the youngest person there. I think I was 19 when I went, and definitely the youngest female that was there. It was the first time I'd gotten to see so much new technology and sat through so many like up and coming seminars and things like that. That's not always the case you get in class. A lot of times you're covering material from textbooks from 15 years ago. So that was the first time I had gotten to see so much up and coming technology like in one place, and met so many people that were well established in the field already, and got to meet a lot of great connections. There was some kind of quiz competition thing that I participated in. I think it was for a Torio. And I won that. It was like a little quiz about cybersecurity and just basic questions about it. I won that quiz and won a free MacBook. It was cool.
That's cool. I think when you're competing against industry veterans and people that have been in the industry and someone that's new, that's an amazing accomplishment.
Yes, I think they were very surprised when I stood up to go pick up my award, and I was half the age of everybody else there. So yes, but it was really cool. I think the last statistic I read from S4, they have about 12% of their attendees are women. So it definitely is very male dominated. I think the computer science department, which has a couple different degrees at Mississippi State, they're about 18% women right now. So definitely a little bit smaller of a percentage in the real world than in class. Yeah. But it was great. They had a couple seminars and roundtable discussions for women specifically. That was really interesting to kind of hear how they've become well respected in the field.
Okay. Are there other activities that you're doing in school that you feel are helping guide you from extracurricular? Do you any sports or anything that's kind of helping tie you into the community and further your decision to say, this is the right thing for me? This really is what I want to do as you kind of wind down your degree in the next 6 or 8 months?
Yes. I would venture to say I'm pretty well involved on campus, like to
Great.
keep busy. Some of the bigger ones, I would say I'm an ambassador for the College of Engineering, which has been really great because we are kind of the first face our incoming students get to see. And then on the other end, when we have companies come to recruit for the College of Engineering, we're the first faces they see too. So it's been great for like a networking side, getting to know students within the organization that are also engineers. A lot of my great alumni friends, they were ambassadors with me, and I've gotten to see them go to different companies across the country, meeting some of those organizations that do come to recruit here, and then also getting to encourage people that are coming in. I was really nervous coming from an all-girls school, and so there was one time I did get to give a tour to, she was a girl, she was a senior in high school, and I got to give a tour to her, and it was so fun because I don't get to give that many tours to girls in comp sci. But yeah, that's been great, really great for my like people skills too. And then my other organization that is kind of top of my list right now, I'm the chapter president of my sorority. We have just under 300 girls this year, so it's been a lot, but probably one of my favorite things I've been involved in on campus. I think for the STEM field specifically, Greek life is fantastic. It really teaches you time management skills, people skills, how to manage. I've learned so many great leadership skills from it too. Chapter presidency was never something I saw for myself, but I couldn't imagine it any other way. My term comes to an end in the middle of November, so I've only got like a month left, but it'll be bittersweet. I'll be happy for the next exec coming in, but it'll be a little bit sad. It's my last little bit of time left. So those
Awesome.
two. Yeah, I've got a job on campus too. I work at the University Florist. It's kind of my passion project on the side. I took a floral design class my freshman year, loved it. And so now that's one of my minors. And it's just kind of a little side hobby. It's been fun. It's good to have something with some artistic outflow and
For
a
sure.
little bit less technical. But yeah.
Brings color to your life. That's
Yes.
awesome. Yeah. Everybody needs flowers. Think of Valentine's, think of Mother's Day, think of all the occasions that it makes everybody feel happy to get flowers and see them arranged. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you always get to see a lot of smiles working
Yeah,
there. So.
for sure. If we look back, are there classes that you feel you wish they offered that you didn't get to take, or that you feel could have helped you if it was there? Anything
I
like
think
that you think might, again, and there may not be any. If you were to say there's this one little gap that I think would make me more rounded if I had.
I would say maybe a more specifically like hardware based class.
Okay.
And not to say that Mississippi State doesn't offer it. We just have a lot of technical degrees. So like there's a computer science engineering degree, a computer engineering degree, and an electrical engineering degree. And so most of the time your core classes are kind of different for those classes. And so comp sci, you don't have those specific hardware classes. And not to say we need a big one, but I think it would have been helpful had I taken one of those basic level hardware. I know they do like a breadboard circuiting class. It just wasn't like mandatory for me to take, so I never did. I think something like that would have been helpful. And as I said earlier, going into industrial cybersecurity, like a more focused class for operational technology and its challenges would be very interesting.
Well, I think given the PLCs, the HMIs, the drives that you encounter on the plant floor, some exposure to that, like you were saying, a class that just introduced, almost think like a controls engineer where they're teaching ladder logic and they're teaching PLC programming and hands-on within the true industrial side, even though there's no cyber aspect to it. Just an exposure to the industrial assets, I think, would be beneficial as organizations try to bring that whole thing full circle. Yeah, good. Perfect. Well, if you could pick out some advice for entry-level students that are coming out of college or coming out of high school into college that are looking for guidance, looking for a career path that may be considering industrial cybersecurity or cybersecurity in general, how would you advise them? What would you say, hey, this is one thing that helped, go and try to do this? Or what would you say to somebody that's considering it that you may have an opportunity to influence?
Mm-hmm. Honestly, getting involved. I think really making an effort to get to know your professors, the companies that come and visit, make an effort to make relationships with people because they're going to be able to help advise you on where they think you can go in life. Dr. Trawick, as I spoke about my sophomore year, I met with him after one of his classes and kind of talked about, okay, this is what rest of my school life is going to look like in my college career and what kind of classes I want to take and what the few years after college, what my goals are. And he gave some really great advice about, research on campus, companies that were coming to interview for internships and co-ops and how I could leverage something from them. That's probably where I would say get involved, get to know those companies, get to know your professors. If you try something and it doesn't work out and you don't end up enjoying it, you don't have to do it again, but just try it out and make an effort to put yourself out there because that's how you're going to get your hands-on knowledge and get to know what the field's really like when you're in it.
No different than business. It's relationships.
Yes.
It's building the relationships in a professional manner, similar to what you're doing in the sorority and in a personal manner. It's helping understand because at the end of the day, people, the relationship, the human aspect of any degree is really what propels us and gets us to the next level and advances us and connects us with other people that may have an opportunity or may have a career path or may know something that will really guide us all. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's that relationship. Good. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Jessica. I appreciate it. I know that hopefully you're excited about where your career is going to take you. Get out of school in May and maybe take some time in the summer and hit the ground running full speed. So, yeah, fantastic.
Yep, very excited to finally be out in the workforce. Coming to an end soon.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it. And thanks for listening.
Of course. Thanks for having me on.
Welcome.
Thanks for tuning in to the Industrial Cybersecurity Insider. To stay up to date with our latest episodes, be sure to click the follow or subscribe button now. And if you found this podcast helpful or have a topic you'd like us to discuss, please leave us a review or let us know. Thanks again for listening. See you next time.